In the spring of 1981, 4 people were brutally murdered in their home in Keddie, California. This case would go on to become one of the most infuriating and confounding cases in California history. How could a quadruple homicide in this small community go unsolved for over 40 years? Welcome to Macabre Storytime, where I tell my friends some of the weirdest, most brutal, spine-tingliest cases they've never heard of. Hello.
Hello.
I never know how to get this thing started.
How are you?
Confused on how to start.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Probably because we do 2 episodes at a time. You're like, we already did this.
Well, but still, just like the welcome. I'm Sarah.
Welcome to Macabre Storytime. I'm Sarah.
No, you're not.
I'm Rhonda.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Anyways, welcome.
Welcome. How's your other podcast doing?
I am in so season 1 is done. It's been done for a couple weeks now. So all 9 episodes of Malice Aforethought are up and listenable.
Listenable?
But I am in the middle of note-taking.
For the next season?
Yes, I'm in the middle of the first set of notes, because I'll do like one set of notes, just typing stuff down, like not in any I have some different categories, but it's not organized really. Mm-hmm. And then I go back and I do a second set, like by episode, and how I want it to be organized for the episode. So I'm working on the first set of notes for season 2. So my goal is New Year, like the first, like starting the beginning of the year at the latest, but we'll see what happens.
To launch the second season?
Correct. That's my goal, but we'll see what happens.
Keep a lookout for the second season.
Yeah, I'll let you all know, believe me, when the second season. And the second season's going to have a lot more episodes. Season 1 only has 9 episodes. So and they're not like this podcast where they're like between an hour and an hour and a half each. The longest one I think is like maybe 45 minutes. I don't even think it reached 45. So they're from like 30 to 40 minutes. Typically.
We don't have me getting you off topic.
True. And the format's a little different. So, so those episodes aren't as long. So you can, bang out 9 episodes pretty quickly, just in a, session or whatever. But season 2 is going to have, as it stands right now, I've got 15 episodes that I have outlined. So
it'd be fun to listen to.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. But anyways, I guess we'll get going on this one.
Let's do it.
Welcome to, I guess, what is this, episode 12? No, episode 14. This is episode 14.
Right.
Whoa. Welcome to episode 14. So, I guess we'll just get into it. We're back in the U.S. with this one. We've been kind of bouncing around lately. Mexico, Canada, the UK, back on our home turf. But we're going to California.
I knew you were going to say California.
How did you know?
I don't know.
You can't see my notes.
I can't.
You don't even know what I'm going to tell you.
I don't, but I'm like, she's going to say California. I'm like,
I did. I said California.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Southern or northern?
Northern?
I like that look.
We're going to time travel to a time when only you were alive, not me.
So there was only a 2-year frame there.
Right. It is April 11th, 1981, around 11:30 a.m., 36-year-old Sue Sharp drove with her 14-year-old daughter, Sheila, and her 5-year-old son, Greg, leaving a friend's home to pick up her 10-year-old son, Rick, from baseball tryouts in Quincy, California. They drove by Sue's 15-year-old son, John, and his 17-year-old friend, Dana Wingate, who were hitchhiking from Quincy back to Keddie, where the Sharps lived.
Okay.
Sue picked the boys up and drove home to Keddie. Around 3:30 p.m., John and Dana hitchhiked back to Quincy to go to a party. That evening, Sue's 12-year-old daughter, Tina, was watching TV at the home of the Seabolt family, who lived right next door to the Sharps. And their homes were only about 15 feet apart.
Oh, next door neighbors.
Like, almost in the same house. 15 feet is not a lot.
No. Well, California's kind of packed.
There's like 8 blades of grass separating you and them. That's very close. The Seabolts had 3 children in the same age range as the Sharp children, and Sheila had plans to spend the night at their home that night. Sue stayed home with the 2 younger boys, the 5-year-old and the 10-year-old, and their 12-year-old son, Justin Smart, who lived 2 doors down.
Okay.
Tina returned home around 9:30 to go to bed. And John and Dana were last seen hitchhiking at the corner of Crescent and Lawrence in Quincy between 9 and 10 p.m.
Not smart to be hitchhiking at dark.
Or ever.
Or ever, but at dark.
And for those who are like, this sounds familiar, we are here today to talk about the Keddie cabin murders. It's somewhat popular in true crime circles, but I don't think you know about this.
I do not.
Yeah. So that's why we're talking about it.
That's why I chose it.
And it's interesting because it is unsolved.
Ooh, I like unsolved.
Got an idea, but it's technically unsolved. So
It's always an idea, like Mr. Lorenz.
Well, sometimes there's like a good idea.
Good idea.
And we're pretty sure it's that guy. We just don't have the actual evidence to show it. And then there's like, maybe it's them, maybe it's them, maybe it's them. I don't know. It's there. There's differing. There's a spectrum. There's a range. Mm-hmm. This one is pretty close to the. I'm pretty sure that guy did it. For most people, but we'll see what you have to say because you don't know about this case.
Alrighty, let's go.
So let's get to it. Around 7 a.m. on April the 12th, so the next day, Sheila returned home and discovered the brutally murdered bodies of her mother, brother John, and his friend Dana. All 3 had been bound with medical tape and electrical cords, which, I'm just going to say it, medical tape, not really a great binding method because it tears pretty easily.
Right.
You could just and
I guess it was pretty thick.
I guess, I don't know, like all of the medical tape.
Yeah, the whole roll.
For one wrist. Anyways, now, so she comes in, she sees her family and the family friend brutally murdered in the living room, and she ran screaming back to the Seabolts' home for help.
It's a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Good morning. Nope, not a good morning.
No, it is not. I mean, I would argue that no morning is a good morning because I'm awake, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, you got to wake up. That would be a good morning, but
you don't have
the fact that it's morning.
Wake up in the morning unless you are a quote unquote functional adult.
I have a shirt that says, I don't like mornings and I don't like people and I don't like morning people.
Yeah. That's accurate.
It's very accurate.
So let's get a little background on the family here before we get into the nitty-gritty. Glenna Susan Davis, who went by Sue, was born on March 29th, 1945 in Springfield, Massachusetts. She married James Sharp, a Navy man, and the couple had 5 children: John, Sheila, Tina, Rick, and Greg. In July 1979, Sue and her children left their Connecticut home after Sue separated from her, according to her, abusive husband.
Okay.
She moved the children across the country to Northern California, where her brother Don lived. At first, she rented a small trailer her brother used to live in the Claremont Trailer Village in Quincy. But the following fall, the family moved to cabin number 28 in the once thriving rural Sierra Nevada resort town of Keddie. The cabin only had 2 bedrooms, but John moved into a room in the basement that could only be accessed from the outside. So you had to go like outside the house, down the little steps in the back, and through a door to get to the basement. The 2 younger boys shared one of the bedrooms while Sue and the girls shared the other room.
Okay.
So, it's cramped, but it's, it's home. You
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. The family didn't receive much support from James, the father. Only a $250 income from his Navy pay. That's all for 5 children. In addition to this, the family relied on food stamps and Sue's very part-time job as a dishwasher at the Quincy Elks Lodge.
Okay.
She enrolled in a California Education Training Act program, which paid a small stipend, so she had that small income as well. Piecing it together. She was taking a typing class at Feather River College as part of the program, and classmates from her class recalled Sue as being a good student who worked hard to get good grades. Great.
Okay, good.
She was also known as a loner who preferred to study alone and keep to herself instead of joining in on coffee breaks and study groups, which, I was kind of the same.
Right.
I went to school, I did my shit, I went home. Like, I didn't dawdle.
I did with other people what I had to do with other people.
Right. I have to do a group project? All right. Also attending this program were Marilyn and Martin Smart, Sue's neighbors, who lived in cabin 26.
Okay.
The Smarts arrived in Keddie in 1980 as Martin went to work as a cook in the hotel restaurant in town. Martin lost his job at the hotel shortly before the murders and was supporting the family by selling drugs.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Martin was also allegedly prone to violence and had once tried to run over his wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
good guy.
It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
He once reportedly pulled a knife on Marilyn, his wife, and threatened to cut her. It happens. That's not... it's not something I've ever done, but...
It happens.
It happens. In addition to being violent, Martin also liked cheating on his wife.
Of course he did.
And
violence, drugs.
Yeah.
Why not cheating?
Why not? But don't feel too bad for Marilyn, as she was having several affairs of her own as well. So people that just shouldn't be married, like
Right.
to anybody, not just each other.
Right.
Literally
just
anyone.
Don't get married.
I won't. Martin. However, Martin, he was a possessive and jealous man, but then again, so was Marilyn.
How are you possessive and jealous and then cheating? It doesn't work.
It just literally happens all the time, though. I can do it. You cannot.
True, when you put it like that, but,
Yeah. Anyways, Sue is also said to be counseling Marilyn about leaving her violent and unfaithful husband. And this is something that is questionable, we'll say. Some say she was counseling her. Others don't say it. So it's just something that's been out there. That's why I said she was, allegedly doing this.
The rumors.
Right. Because, Sue had left her abusive husband. So, I can see the possibility that she would try to be counseling another wife with an abusive husband to be like,
I've
hey,
been there.
you can get out of this.
Right. I've been there. This is what you need to do.
Right.
It's not your fault. All this type of stuff.
And Marilyn did wind up leaving Martin the day the murders were discovered. So she did eventually leave him. Now, living with the Smarts at the time was Martin's friend, Severin John, and his last name, I know what you're thinking, but I don't know how this is said. I have heard people say it a couple of different ways, but when I Googled it, it said something different. So I am going to be saying what Google told me.
This is the one you asked me about.
No. No. That was something different. So I'm going to be calling him Bobaday. That is what Google said. So that I'm going to trust Google, and if I am wrong, take it up with Google. Okay? So
It's Google's fault.
yes. Severin John Bobaday, who went by Bo, was living with the Smarts at the time. Martin and Bo alleged to have first met at the VA hospital in Reno, where both were in the psychiatric unit, but no record of Bo being a patient has ever been found. So I don't know if maybe Martin was there and Bo was around for different reasons.
Just hanging out?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Visiting someone and they met and struck up a friendship. I don't know. But Martin had been driven to the VA hospital by a man named D. Lake, who was a Veterans Services representative at Feather River College at the time. Martin claimed to be suffering from PTSD from his time serving in Vietnam, but investigators don't believe his time as a cook on a military base near Saigon would have given him a reason to have PTSD. Because he wasn't like...
he wasn't in battle.
On the front lines there.
Right.
Right? So, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm sure he saw some stuff, but...
Right, but mainly you were
people
in the
are questioning it. Yeah. He wasn't, like, in battalions doing shit. It's been suggested that Lake may have suggested the PTSD diagnosis to Martin as a way to get veterans assistance and benefits. So maybe he was just like, yeah, I have PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
I need money from you, government. So it's possible. I honestly believe that more than having PTSD while being based in Saigon as a cook. But
right.
But again, I mean, it's possible.
But, I've never been based in Saigon as a cook or in any other role. So it could, maybe his kitchen got bombarded by bombs or something.
Maybe he had a friend who went into a battle and didn't come out. Like, I don't know, stuff happens.
I mean, it's possible.
The mind is a crazy thing.
It is.
Fucked up. Crazy fucked up thing. But anyways, now to this point, Martin allegedly told the counselor at the hospital that he was never fearful and had a, quote, easy tour in the military, which kind of lends to the whole, he did not actually have PTSD argument.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bobaday served in the Air Force, but there are several discrepancies about his service. What we do know for certain about Bo is that he had very strong mob ties in Chicago.
Ooh.
Yes. A man who helped raise and mentor Bo, his name was Jimmy Rinney, was heavily involved in organized crime in Chicago. Bo was allegedly heavily involved in the drug trade around the time. And as we've already covered, Martin was supporting his family by selling drugs. So
right. Well, that would make sense.
They were, together in that. He was also allegedly very involved in offering payouts to several law enforcement agencies to look the other way while he conducted his business.
Paying off the cops.
Mm-hmm. We also know that Bo had served time for armed robbery in Chicago's Joliet prison, which, if you've never heard of Joliet, congratulations. It's not a fun place. It's known as being kind of a rough place. Mm-hmm. He also served time in prison in California as well. So, now we know about the circumstances leading up to this. Let's get to the murders themselves.
Okay.
Now, after Sheila ran to the neighbor's home for help, she and the Seabolt's teenage son, Jamie, returned to cabin 28 to find Rick, Greg, and Justin, so her two little brothers and their friend, were all unharmed in their bedroom. So to keep the boys from seeing this horrifying scene out in the living room, they helped the boys climb out the bedroom window to get them out of the cabin. Because they didn't want them to, obviously, see
You don't need to go in the living room.
see their mother and brother and this other family friend, slaughtered. So Deputy Hank Clement was first on the scene and reported blood everywhere. The walls, the bottoms of the boys' shoes, Sue's bare feet, the bedding in the girls' room, the furniture, the ceiling, the doors, and on the back steps, the ones that would lead down to John's room.
Mm-hmm.
Just literally everywhere. The prevalence of blood around the scene suggested to investigators that the bodies had been moved from the positions they were in when they were murdered.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Now, Sue was discovered lying on her side near the living room sofa. She was nude from the waist down, though she had been partially covered with a blanket. She was gagged with a blue bandana and her own underwear, which had been secured with tape. She had been stabbed in the chest, and her throat had been cut through the larynx, nicking her spine.
Ah.
That's a deep one.
They want to go deep.
Yeah. The side of her head had an imprint matching the butt of a Daisy 880 Powerline BB pellet rifle.
Wow.
Someone was angry.
Yeah.
We'll say.
A little bit.
A little bit. John's throat was slashed, and both he and Dana suffered multiple blunt force trauma wounds to their heads, likely caused by a hammer.
So he had a hammer, he had a rifle, and a knife.
Correct.
At least.
Correct, yes. Sue and John died from their knife wounds, but Dana had been manually strangled and died by asphyxiation.
So he had something to strangle with, too.
Well, it could have been his hands.
I mean, yeah.
2 bloodied knives and 1 hammer were found at the scene. One of the knives, a steak knife, was bent roughly 30 degrees and found on the living room floor. So they really
Put pressure into
stabbed hard to bend that sucker 30 degrees. A butcher knife and a claw hammer, both covered in blood, were on a small table near the entrance to the kitchen. Blood spatter evidence from inside the house indicated all 3 murders had taken place in the living room. And the house showed no signs of forced entry, and the back door was left open. Like physically open. Not just unlocked.
So he wasn't trying to hide much.
I guess.
I mean, he left the weapons.
Weapons are there.
Doors open. He left blood everywhere.
Blood literally everywhere.
And he left...
And he left 3 alive children.
Right. So he wasn't really trying to hide anything.
Now...
I'm sure his DNA is there somewhere.
I'm sure, but it's 1981, so they don't know it. Because when
you... cold case for,
Yeah. Because when you kill by stabbing, there's a very good chance you are going to cut yourself. Because your hand's going to get bloody, and it's going to slide down the knife.
Yes.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen, like, in most stabbings. Because you're, like, frenzied about it. You're not like, a boop, a boop. Mm-hmm. It's not like a la-di-da kind
and
of
especially, your target's probably not sitting still.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not just chilling there while you're stabbing to death. Yeah, it's just not quite. So, the investigation, if we want to call it that. Detectives...
I don't know what that means, right? But we'll figure that out. We'll get there.
What are you getting at there, huh? So detectives interviewed numerous neighbors and locals, including the Seabolts, where Sheila was spending the night, and the Smarts, which is the parents of Justin, who was spending the night at this cabin where this happened. They interviewed both of those families. It wasn't until several hours later and several interviews later that the police realized something was missing. Do you know what was missing that they just discovered? Would you like a hint?
Yes.
How many children did Sue have?
5.
How many children have been discovered?
4. So we're missing a child.
Yeah. Where's Tina?
Well, didn't she hitchhike somewhere?
No. She was watching TV at the friend's house and came home at 9:30 to go to bed.
Oh, yeah. So where'd she go?
That is quite a good question. So police realized, Tina's missing. Weird.
Very.
Yeah, she's 12. It's not like she drove somewhere. Now, Sheila and the Seabolt family reported hearing nothing during the night, even though their cabin was only 15 feet or approximately 8 blades of grass away from the murder scene.
Technically. Right. Give or take 8 blades of grass.
However, a couple living in nearby cabin 16 reportedly were awakened around 1:15 in the morning by what sounded like muffled screaming, but they didn't know where it was coming from, so they went back to sleep.
We're going from 16 to 26, so I would assume that's more than 8 blades of grass.
28.
Oh, 28.
So even more.
So that's like 20 blades of grass.
Yeah, at least.
So you're able to hear that,
but next
muffled
door,
screaming.
They did not.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Don't hear that next door, but 20 blades of grass away.
Now,
they heard it.
Could they have been mistaken? Sure. Could it have been something else? Sure. But that's what they reported.
Did they report that after they were aware of these murders or before?
It was after. So, like, when they were questioning people that lived
they're like,
in the
oh, yeah, I did
place.
wake up and I thought I heard muffled screaming.
Around, yes. So, and like I said, they could have been mistaken.
Could have been.
It could have been something that happened closer to their cabin in someone else's cabin. You never know. But just a tidbit to point out.
But only she was gagged. The other two weren't gagged, were they?
Correct.
So you'd think there'd be some screaming.
You'd think. But, okay. I mean, those 3 boys were still asleep. I doubt they'd just be sleeping, or even if they got woken up by this, whatever's going on out there, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, and go back to sleep.
Right. They're going to be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. So I that's why this case is like a... What?
A what?
Yeah, it's popular because there's a whole bunch of questions. And like I said, unsolved. So, the main suspect was the neighbor, Martin Smart, who, when questioned by police, claimed a claw hammer matching the possible murder weapon had inexplicably gone missing from his home.
Of course it did.
Quick sidebar. Why are you just saying that?
Right.
Why did you just offer that up?
Oh, yeah, by the way, I am missing a hammer.
Yeah, oh, my neighbors were murdered. Oh, that's terrible. You want to question me about it? Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, I was home all night. Just wanted to let you know a hammer was stolen from me. Oh, you said a hammer was a murder weapon? Oh, that's interesting. I had one stolen.
Okay, first of all, I know where my hammers are, but I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, it was missing.
Like, why would you just, out of nowhere, be like, oh, yeah, I have a claw hammer similar to what could have been used for this murder, but it was stolen. Like, what? Shut up. All these people, they just won't shut up. And I mean, like, it's good because, it helps people get caught, but, like, shut up.
Right, but
if I were a defense attorney, that's rule number 1. Shut the fuck up.
I would have to go look and see if my hammer was there. And right, you'd have to ask me about it.
Why would you just know that?
You'd have to ask me about it. Oh, are you missing a hammer?
Right. I wouldn't just out of nowhere be like, oh, I had a hammer stolen recently.
Oh.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Right. Oh, you're questioning me about a murder? Oh, oh, yeah, there was a hammer missing.
Yeah, I had a hammer stolen. Very similar trajectory from murders to missing hammer.
Right.
I mean, Jesus
Convenient.
Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to ask me if I had a hammer, and I'd be like, somewhere.
I'd be like,
let me check the toolbox.
Yeah, it should be here. I'll go get it for you guys. Come with me. And, I'm
I'm not just going to offer up that info.
BT dubs. My hammer's missing. Doug Thomas, who was the sheriff of the Plumas County Sheriff's Department at the time, he later said that Martin had provided endless clues in the case that seemed to throw suspicion away from him. And that's a quote. That throw suspicion part. Now, Justin Smart, the 12-year-old who was staying that night,
Mm-hmm.
he gave conflicting stories about the night of the murders as well. He initially said that he had a dream about what happened, but later on, he claimed that he actually woke up and witnessed it.
I mean, that's possible for a kid to determine whether it was a dream or whether he actually saw it when it's something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure if he witnessed it, I'm sure he just said it was a dream as a way to, like, it's protection for your own mind.
Yeah, justify the fact that he just saw something murdered. Yeah,
Right.
I had a dream about it.
Oh, no, that was a dream. It couldn't have been real.
Right.
Yeah, you're protecting your own brain. And not even necessarily consciously.
Right.
It's just
you're
your brain.
talking about a 12-year-old.
Right.
You're not talking about a 35-year-old that's trying to cover up his crime.
Right. And honestly, he probably initially might not have even realized that he was protecting himself by saying it was a dream. Because your brain's doing it itself.
Mm-hmm.
It happens all the time where you, like, repress things and, whatever. Because your brain is like, no, I don't want that there. I'm just going to yank it out.
Exactly. It's like, it's protection. So.
Right. So that's what he said initially. But then he's like, actually, I witnessed it. In a later account, told under hypnosis, so just fun fact, not admissible in court if it's under hypnosis.
Okay.
He claimed to have awoken to sounds coming from the living room. He investigated the sounds and saw Sue talking to two men. One with a mustache and short hair, and the other was clean-shaven with longer hair. And both were wearing glasses. That is an important tidbit. So that's just, we're going to take one of those little pins and we're going to pin it to the board in the back of our minds, okay?
Glasses. Got
Glasses, yes. Now, John and Dana then entered the home and began arguing with these two men. A fight ensued, after which Tina entered the room from the girl's bedroom where she was asleep and was taken out through the back door by one of these two men. Composite sketches of the two unknown men were created and dispersed. In press releases accompanying the sketches, the suspects were described as being in their late 20s to early 30s. One was between 5'11 and 6'2", with dark blonde hair, while the other was between 5'6 and 5'10", with black greased hair. And both were wearing gold-framed sunglasses.
Sunglasses, not glasses.
Well, I mean, sunglasses are glasses.
Well, yes, but, you said to pin the glasses part.
Right.
And I
Sunglasses are glasses. We'll just take the pin, take it off the board in the back of your brain, just write in parentheses, or sunglasses, close parentheses, pin it back. Okay.
Glasses/sunglasses.
Right. Something with a frame around your eyeballs.
Okay.
Okay. It should be noted that according to Martin Smart's ID, little fun fact for you here, he was 5'10" with a mustache and dark brown hair.
But did he wear glasses?
Well, I mean, sunglasses can be.
I know, but I'm just
for anybody.
I'm just asking.
Not on his ID. He did not have glasses. I was unable to see any details on Beau Bobaday's appearance. Like I have a picture of him I can post, but nothing about like his height, his weight, etc.
Okay.
But in a black and white mugshot from the 50s, he appears as being clean shaven with dark hair as well.
Okay. So if they were both wearing sunglasses, they fit the description of the two men.
Maybe.
Okay.
These sketches were made by a man named Harlan Embry, who was an amateur who sometimes volunteered to help the local police. He had no artistic ability and no training in forensic sketching, and these sketches are terrible. And
I assume you have pictures of these.
Of course I do. I have no qualms of telling Harlan Embry to his face, if he's still alive, your sketches are shit. Okay.
I mean, I would be a horrible forensic. I would be horrible at doing the sketches, and I would be horrible at giving a description to make a sketch off.
Yes. But if if you cannot draw, how is that helpful?
It is not.
You are not helping the police by drawing shit sketches that don't fucking look like anything. That's not helpful. Like, at all. So an explanation was never given as to why they chose to use this particular man for the sketches instead of the FBI's forensic artists, which they had access to. The FBI was like, hey, we have these guys really good at drawing. Would you like to use them? Oh, no. We've got Harlan over here. He's my poker buddy. I think he can handle it. What?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
No. Now, rumors were that the crimes were drug-related, but those were quickly dismissed by the Plumas County Sheriff's Office. They stated that no drug paraphernalia or illegal drugs of any kind were found in the home. There is nothing to signify that anyone who lived in the Sharp house had anything to do with drugs.
Somehow I think the police are involved in this.
I mean, I don't know. That's a bold statement.
I know, right? It's like, oh, we're not going to use the FBI as artists. We're going to use Joe Blow over here that can't draw.
I'm sure it's fine. Hold on. You know what? I'm just going to pull them up. I'm going to pull up the sketches right now.
Just to show you how horrible they are.
Yeah. Just to get your on-air reaction. You ready?
I'm ready. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not FBI quality sketches.
No. Those are not. I'm pretty sure I could have done that. Yeah, that's definitely not artistic ability right there.
It's probably better than I could do, but I can't.
It's not good.
I can't do very good. No.
But that doesn't make it good.
Better than I can do, but not FBI quality.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he just took a shit on the paper and was like, "Here you go." But it's not great. It's not much better than that.
No.
I mean, he took a shit, smeared it around a bit, and then gave it out.
Well, if he does they had the option of using the FBI guy. I don't see why not use them.
I don't know.
Because it's just...
Yeah, exactly. And just real quick for you, this is a picture of Bo in the suit, and then Martin's ID.
No, I wouldn't have got that.
I mean, maybe it wasn't them, so
it doesn't look anything like the sketches.
But I mean, one has short hair, one has long hair, one has a mustache, one doesn't. I mean, I don't know. But anyways, I'll post, and everyone will see. Mm-hmm. But Sheriff Thomas quickly called the Sacramento DOJ, Department of Justice, for assistance in the case, which was surprising. What was odd about this was that the DOJ sent two officers, Special Agents Harry Bradley and P.A. Krim, from their organized crime unit, not the homicide unit.
Right. How is this organized crime?
I don't know. Do you know something we don't?
Right. Exactly. It's like, this is a homicide.
Yeah. That's a little suspicious.
This is an organized crime.
A little suspicious.
You know something we don't.
A little bit. So it's been suggested that, and I'm not saying this is true, just that it was suggested. Okay. Bradley and Krim, the two agents that the DOJ sent, allegedly were dirty. But as I've only seen allusions to this, I don't know how much stock to put in that.
You know how many eggs to put in your basket?
I don't. I don't feel comfortable putting any eggs in the basket because there's nothing concrete to really put your mitts on. It's just people saying stuff. Mm-hmm. Not saying it's impossible. Of course it's possible, but
anything's possible.
I don't know. Now, according to Don Stoy, who was a lieutenant in 1981 and would go on to be sheriff someday, there was a lack of real focus from the investigators on this case. He said everyone seemed to have their own theory and would go in their own direction investigating that theory instead of working together, which is not how you go about solving crime.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just everyone just go do your own thing, and then we'll come back later.
We'll figure it out.
And just throw it all on the table, and we'll just pick one. Like, what? That's not... You don't just do your own thing.
I mean, you had to get 3 autopsies done by 3 different people, and then you pick the one that, you think that makes the most sense, not the one that makes the most sense to everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Stoy believes that the lack of unity and teamwork prevented the case from being solved, which, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
There might be some other things that prevented it, but we'll, whatever.
We'll get there.
There. Now
hey, you're not saying it to me. You're just saying it in general.
Right. Now, a few notes from the crime scene that will add some flavor to the story.
I need a little salt seasoning on top.
I've got salt, I've got pepper, and I've got paprika.
What about garlic? You need garlic.
And garlic.
Okay, good.
Salt, pepper, paprika, and garlic is what we're going to add to this.
Okay, good.
Now, the salt. Pum. Sheriff Thomas was called to the scene at 8:45 a.m. And, just a fun fact, he lived 20 minutes away.
But was he at work?
He lived 20 minutes away.
Okay.
The sheriff's office was not 20 minutes away.
Okay.
His physical address.
Okay.
In his official report, he stated that he arrived at the scene at 8:50 a.m. Which
I assume the sheriff's office was a little farther away than his home.
Well, if we just counted it out on my fingers, 8:45 to 8:50 is only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing at that time of the morning, I guess he was still at home. That's why it was mentioned so often how far away he lived.
But you weren't at home you were 20 minutes away. If you lived 20 minutes away, but you got there in 5 minutes. You didn't take a jet.
Yeah. That's some nice Himalayan sea salt right there on top. Okay.
That's a lot of salt. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we've got our salt.
Where's the pepper?
We got some fresh cracked black pepper. I'm doing the motion to crack the pepper.
Okay.
Blood smears were found not only on the door and the wall of the girl's bedroom, but also the boy's bedroom, which would lead one to assume that the killers knew the boys were in that room, but let them live.
Right. And that they had been in that room.
Yeah, like they, peeked in to check on them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got some nice Himalayan sea salt, freshly cracked black pepper. Let's throw on a dash of paprika. On the TV tray used as a bedside table in the girls' room, we have 2 clues. So the paprika is, clue number 1, Sue's glasses. Sue always wore her glasses when she was awake. So the fact that they were lying on the table indicates that she was asleep when she was attacked. Okay?
Okay.
And also, like, being naked from the waist down, maybe she just slept in, like, a big shirt, And because her underwear was in her mouth, so I guess they took it off and put it in her mouth for some weird reason. All right, so there's our paprika. Garlic powder to finish this off is the clock on the table. There was an alarm clock on this table whose cord was cut to tie Sue up.
Why?
Because that's apparently, I would say, where she was when she was attacked. So they cut the cord, used it to tie her up, and adding to the garlic powder, a little extra because I love garlic, the time on the clock when the cord was cut was 3:45. So if someone heard muffled screaming at 1:15, it wasn't this. because the time when they cut that cord to tie Sue up was at 3:45. And I highly doubt that this was a 2-hour-long ordeal that those 3 boys slept through.
Right. And the little boy wouldn't have seen them standing in the living room arguing with some guy if she was attacked in the bedroom.
Right. Because she, according to Justin, she was in the bedroom. In the living room talking to them. But, I mean, maybe then they moved her out there, but he didn't mention anything about her being, like, having her arms tied behind her back or anything like that. So,
right.
I don't know. So there's our seasoning.
So many questions.
Yeah, we seasoned the shit out of that. Now, let's talk about Tina and her disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tina's disappearance, like I said, it was initially overlooked for a while. They were like, oh, yeah, she's not
we're
here.
missing somebody.
Her disappearance was initially involved as a possible... Did I say involved? Her disappearance was initially investigated as a possible abduction. Because allegedly, one of the guys took her out the back door with her.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What was the point of that? Unless you wanted her, right?
Right.
So a grid pattern search of the area covering a 5-mile radius around the house was conducted with police canines, but the search was fruitless. On April 29th, 1981, the FBI decided to back off the search as they thought the California State Department of Justice was doing a, quote, adequate job that made the FBI's presence unnecessary. Is adequate good enough for a missing 12-year-old?
Apparently.
I would argue no.
I would argue no as well. It's a child that's missing, but
we need exemplary.
I mean, it's adequate because
it's good
enough.
If her mother was alive, I'm sure she would be like, I'm sorry, good enough? No, right. It's not.
And where's Dad?
Dad's still on the East Coast.
He didn't even know anything about this?
If he did, he didn't come show up. So, on April the 22nd, 1984, 3 years and 11 days after the murders, a bottle collector discovered the cranium of a human skull and part of a mandible, which is the lower jaw, at Camp 18 near Feather Falls in Butte County, which is about 100 miles from Keddie.
Okay.
Near the remains, detectives also discovered a blue nylon jacket, a blanket, a pair of Levi's with a missing back pocket, and an empty medical tape dispenser.
Back to the medical tape.
Back to the medical tape. Shortly after announcing the discovery of the remains, the Butte County Sheriff's Office received an anonymous call that identified the remains as those of Tina Sharp.
Wait, the police department received a thing that said that they were Tina?
Yes.
Who determined that?
The Butte County Sheriff's Office received an anonymous call from someone saying, those remains you found, that's Tina Sharp.
How did they know that?
Excellent question.
Okay.
The caller said, quote, I was wondering if they thought of the murder up in Keddie, up in Plumas County a couple of years ago, where a 12-year-old girl was never found. It's an interesting thing to just, again, just like with the hammer. Why would you just offer that? That's kind of out of nowhere.
This is random. Oh, by the way, you found a skull and a mandible and medical tape, and a jacket.
Did you hear about that girl 3 years ago that went missing?
That's that Tina girl.
I think it's her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever think of that?
Care to tell us more, sir?
Nope.
Care to, maybe start with your name and where the fuck you are so we can come talk to you? What?
Nope. Anonymous.
Right. Gets better.
Of course. But
the call was not documented at the time. However,
here we go.
A recording of the call was found in a sealed envelope in the bottom of an evidence box after the case was reopened in 2013.
Ooh.
So why are you hiding that?
Why did you save it?
Yeah, if you didn't want it to be found out about.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing is just like it's a class on what the fuck are you doing, police department.
Right.
So the remains were later confirmed by a forensic pathologist, and this was in June of 1984, to be those of Tina Sharp. So this anonymous
guy was right.
They were correct.
But how the fuck did you know that?
I don't know. Now,
who are you?
Right. One amateur investigator finds the discovery of Tina's remains suspicious. And I would venture to say many amateur investigators find it suspicious.
I'm not an amateur investigator, but I find it suspicious.
Kinda. Right?
I mean, well, I guess, yeah.
But this is why this particular amateur found it suspicious. So he does not believe a real bottle hunter would wander that far from the camp off of a dirt road, as this amateur investigator calls it, into the wild. It's kind of just like nowhere where he finds this skeleton.
So he goes into the middle of nowhere looking for bottles?
Right. So
and he finds a skull.
Yes. Now, even with the help of research and Google Maps, this amateur investigator still got lost twice while trying to find where the remains were found.
But still, he wanted to go out there and find bottles.
Yes, into this very odd location.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. Gets better. He
does.
believes that the remains were found in a place that would be the last place a true bottle hunter would be looking for bottles, as it was about half of a mile from the town dump.
So, yeah, why wouldn't you be at the dump? There's going to be plenty of bottles there?
I would think so. I've never gone to a dump, but my impression is that they are filled with things that people have thrown out, like perhaps bottles.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, is this bottle hunter like looking for like antique bottles? Like fancy bottles? Or is he looking for bottles to turn in for money?
But I'm assuming to turn in for money. But if you're looking for literally any kind of bottle, why would you just be in the middle of the woods somewhere? Like, it's not like he was,
I'm looking for human trash, but I'm going to go where humans aren't.
Right. It's not like there's town right here and he's just like behind the town. Like it's a physical one, like spot of a town. Mm-hmm. And he's just like right here behind it. It's just somewhere in the wilderness. So yeah, it's highly suspicious, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Now
I agree.
Right. The hope now is that the voice on the tape that, identified the remains as belonging to Tina
mm-hmm.
Could be matched to someone else's voice. That's, possibility.
It is.
Yeah. So let's move on to some subsequent investigating. Initially, the surviving siblings were sent out of state to live with an aunt.
Okay.
The aunt already had several children of her own, so the Sharp children were eventually placed in foster care. At first together, but then later they were separated, which is very sad.
Traumatic experience, and then you're sent to, other families' houses, and then now you're, all separated.
Right, and now you're taken away from the only people that you have in your life left.
Yeah. Right, the only people that understand what you went through.
Mm-hmm. Sheriff Thomas left the Plumas County Sheriff's Office just 3 months into the investigation for a job with California's DOJ. He was offered a position with and I find this endlessly amusing, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Department.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you're qualified for that.
Yeah. He was offered this position just 6 weeks after the murders. The story of the Keddie Cabin murders was slated to air on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries in the early 90s, but the lack of funds available for the necessary traveling for the production caused the episode to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When new Sheriff Greg Hagwood took office in 2010, he was glad to finally be able to reopen the case. Now, Sheriff Hagwood, he actually went to school with John and Dana, so he has a personal connection to this. Hagwood asked retired detective Mike Gamberg to return as a special investigator specifically to work on just this case. Gamberg had been an investigator with the sheriff's office, but was fired for an unrelated issue between him and then Sheriff Thomas, the questionable one, just 2 weeks before the murders. He was later rehired, but he was forbidden from working on the Keddie cabin case. Yeah.
Nothing suspicious about that.
Yeah, not at all. Gamberg had also been John and Dana's martial arts instructor, so he knew the family personally as well. Dana had been at Gamberg's house just the day before the murders. So this is personal. Both of these men were very invested in solving this case. Gamberg's first task, by the way, he accepted the position. His first task was to organize all of the evidence boxes to see what exactly they had. And this is when the recording of that call identifying Tina's remains was found. Stating that someone fresh out of the academy could have done a better job with this case. Love it. Love the sass. Gamberg believes the case was covered up by the DOJ and Sheriff Thomas's office because Martin Smart and especially Bo Bobaday allegedly fit into a larger drug smuggling case involving the federal government.
So it was about hierarchy.
Exactly. This murder, it's terrible, but it's not as big as taking down some drug people.
Right. Take down the drug people.
Yeah, because if they can lead us to something bigger, who can lead us to something bigger? You know, it's bigger than just this couple of people that got murdered.
Mm-hmm. It's a federal crime and get you, these big drug lords and all that.
Yep. Now Martin was a known drug dealer, as we said, but he wouldn't have been much use in a federal case. In this instance, Bo was the bigger fish, being strongly connected, remember, to organized crime.
Right. That's why they sent in the organized crime.
Mm-hmm. That's what my next little bullet point.
See, we're getting there.
Yeah, this could explain why the state DOJ sent 2 organized crime agents to assist with the case instead of homicide agents. This would also explain why Sheriff Thomas allegedly told the 2 very strong suspects to leave town.
Oh, yeah.
In a 2008 documentary, Marilyn Smart, Martin's wife, claimed that she suspected her husband Martin and his friend Bo were responsible for the murders. She said that on the evening of April 11th, 1981, she accompanied Martin and Bo to a local bar named the Backdoor Bar.
Interesting name.
Yes. She left around 11 p.m. to go home and go to bed. The men appeared at the bar wearing, and this is very interesting, 3-piece suits and, get your pin fingers out, sunglasses. This was not...
At night.
Yeah, exactly. This is also not the type of bar you would go to wearing a 3-piece suit. Not that kind of establishment.
It's not a gentleman's club?
No.
No.
So they got angry. This is allegedly while they were at the bar. They got angry with the bar manager who changed the music from country to rock.
Rude.
So they got mad and they left. But Martin and Bo returned home and called the bar to complain about the music change. Being Karens about it. No offense, Karen.
I was just up there and I was jamming to, all the country music, and then your manager decided to change it to rock. Unacceptable.
Exactly. I am very unhappy and I'm never coming back. Click.
You've lost a customer for life. Darn.
Yeah. Oh, no. What will we do?
We're going to go under now.
However, the two men then returned to the bar for one more drink.
I don't get it.
Now, I don't know if they actually said, I'm never coming back. That was just a little effect that I added.
The point is that they got mad, they left, they called the bar, and then they went back.
Yes. But they went back. They just needed one more drink. And then they left the bar again just before 2 a.m. Now, in this documentary, Sheriff Thomas said he had personally interviewed Martin, and he passed a polygraph, which we all know are foolproof.
If you're a pathological liar, you can definitely pass them.
Oh, anyone can pass them. They are not foolproof. That was sarcasm.
Yes, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the sarcasm.
Okay.
But a lot of people just are so good at lying that it's not a problem.
I mean, they're not admissible in court for a reason.
Right. I mean, I get so nervous being asked questions even when I didn't do anything because of my anxiety. I'm like, I'm probably going to fail a polygraph even though I didn't do anything.
Yeah. What's your birthday? Oh, August? I
didn't do anything. So
I'm strapped to a machine. My anxiety level, my stress level, those are going up.
Right. Like, if you're measuring me for that, I'm screwed because, I mean, my blood pressure goes up getting my blood pressure taken. And I'm like, what are you doing? I have problems.
Oh, I know. Hey, I didn't say I didn't. I definitely do. But not that specific problem. As you know, every time I go to plasma, I'm like, geez, my blood pressure is like 99/60. Okay, that's interesting.
I can take mine at home and it's perfectly fine. Go somewhere, have them take it? Nope.
A little higher. Yeah, a little bit. But anyways, tangent. Now, so it should just be noted, just gonna slip this little note in, that several people in town, including allegedly Martin Smart himself, claimed that Martin and Sheriff Thomas were good friends.
Oh, you always want to be good friends with the sheriff.
Yeah. So you personally interviewed him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Just you and him in a room alone, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Personally interviewed him. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Martin told people that he had accompanied Sheriff Thomas on patrols and even stayed at his home at one point when Marilyn had kicked him out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I trust you to give an unbiased interview on this guy. Yeah.
Sheriff Thomas's home at the time was none other than Cabin 28.
Of course it was.
With a home where the Sharps moved into and would eventually be murdered after the sheriff moved out. Yeah.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, interesting. Now, Sheriff Thomas admits that he provided a counseling session to the Smarts who came to him to counsel them for their marital problems. Why you'd go to the sheriff for that, I could not say.
Right. I was just going to say, but he's the sheriff. He's not a counselor.
He's not even kind of.
No.
Not a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Not even kind of. The sheriff said he didn't know why they'd come to him, a man who had just gone through a divorce himself.
Yeah, I don't know.
For marriage advice.
Why would you come to the recent...
So weird. Ugh. I clearly don't know what I'm doing. But I'm going to tell you
what to do.
How to fix yours. Marilyn...
I learned from my mistakes.
Exactly, yes. I can help you.
Now I can help you, yes.
Marilyn, however, she claimed to not recall this meeting with the sheriff.
I'm sure it was just the sheriff and...
Yeah. I'm sure the counseling session was the sheriff and Martin shooting the shit.
Yeah, had nothing to do with her.
Right. I mean, it might have had something to do with her, but she wasn't there. She was just the subject, probably.
She was just the subject of the matter. The subject matter, not the actual participant.
Exactly. Now, after
So, you know what you need to do? Is you need to leave her.
Right, yeah. Get that crazy bitch out of here.
Right.
Now, after the case was reopened, Gamberg came across a letter that had been overlooked.
Of course it was.
Did you hear the
air
hear 'em?
quotes?
Okay.
Yeah.
In the initial investigation, and never admitted as evidence.
It was overlooked, yet it was in the evidence box.
The letter was written by Martin Smart after he fled to Reno shortly after the murders. Okay. Yeah. Just take your breath and hold it for a second. Haven't even gotten to the letter. It was addressed to Martin's wife, Marilyn, and I don't have the entire letter written here, but it concluded by saying, and this is a quote, "I've paid the price of your love, and now that I have bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we are through. Great. What else do you want?"
So it's her fault?
I guess.
That's what he just said.
That's what he definitely implied it. Heavily, strongly implied it.
What else do you want? I just killed 4 people for you. Now what do you want?
I mean, he didn't say killed. He said he bought it with 4 people's lives.
Potato.
Not sure how else you could take that. Because I'm going with murder, but
Right.
that's me.
That's pretty much saying, I killed 4 people, so you'll love me. What else do you need to get me? What else do I need to do to get you back?
I mean, I'm on the same train as you. Now, Marilyn...
Same car? Or
Right.
same
No,
train?
same train. Same, yeah. Marilyn claimed to not remember receiving the letter, but she did recognize her ex-husband's handwriting. A counselor whom Martin regularly visited in Reno alleged that he admitted to the murders of Sue and Tina, but claimed to have nothing to do with John and Dana. He allegedly told this counselor that Tina was killed to prevent her from identifying him because she witnessed the entire event. The counselor said Martin showed no sign of stress and had a flat affect while discussing the crime. Wasn't emotional, wasn't angry, just flat.
Yep, she saw me do it, so I had to kill her.
She saw us. We were there. So we had to kill her because she witnessed us doing it, and we didn't want to be found out.
Had to kill the 12-year-old.
When asked for a motive, Martin allegedly told the counselor he was convinced Sue was responsible for Marilyn wanting a divorce.
So did she ever divorce him?
I don't know if they got legally divorced, but they split up.
Obviously, he's writing her letters to say, what else do I
From
need
a
to do?
different place, yeah. A main theory for the reason for the murders had been that Martin found out Sue was trying to convince Marilyn to leave him, and this enraged him. Now, of the lie detector test he took, Martin reportedly told the counselor, "I beat it. Those things are easy to beat. I was lying and they let me go."
Let's brag about that.
The counselor told Special Investigator Gamberg he was surprised to learn the investigation at the time didn't use literally any of this information to arrest Martin Smart, as he had reported it to the DOJ agents working with Sheriff Thomas in his office on the case. The counselor told Gamberg the 2 DOJ officers came to Reno to meet with him, but dismissed his allegations as hearsay. No written report was made of the counselor's statements at all.
Of course they were.
I guess that's where some of that, maybe they were dirty, comes in.
I didn't write anything down.
It's hearsay. Nice.
Off the record.
Yeah, just a nice little jaunt out to Reno. Just, on the company dime. On March 24th, 2016, so recent times, a hammer matching the description of the one Martin Smart claimed to have lost was discovered in a local pond.
Oh, yeah, I lost my hammer.
It's a weird place to put that. Sheriff Hagwood said of the hammer, the location it was found, it would have been intentionally put there. It would not have been accidentally misplaced. Which, yeah.
How do you misplace a hammer in a pond?
Oopsie, I left it in the pond. Silly me.
Whoops.
As of 2016, Special Investigator Gamberg said that 6 potential suspects, aside from Martin Smart and Bo Bobaday, were being examined. The belief is that some or all of the 6 suspects, at the very least, had firsthand knowledge of the crime, or at the worst, were involved in destroying evidence or disposing of Tina's remains.
That was like everybody involved.
In April 2018, Gamberg stated that DNA evidence recovered from a piece of tape at the crime scene matched that of a living suspect. Yeah. And if you were wondering, no, Bo Bobaday and Martin Smart were not still alive at that time. Bo Bobaday died in, that's just fun to say.
Bo Bobaday.
He died in Chicago in 1988. And Martin Smart died of cancer in Portland, Oregon in June of 2000.
But a living suspect.
Yes. Now, of the work done by Hagwood and Gamberg, Sheila Sharp said in 2013, they've done more in the past 3 years than Plumas County has done in the past 32.
That's sad.
Yeah. And just a little note to end this on. The house was condemned and demolished in 2004, so it is not still there, but like the base of it is there.
Like the foundation.
Just like, yeah, the crumbled foundation of the cabin is there. Now, I'm going to put this out there. There's a couple of other, I don't know if strong theories is the word I would use, mediocre theories, maybe.
Working theories, maybe?
I mean, I wouldn't even say that. One of them is that Sheila Smart is responsible, which I do not put any stock in. I'm not even going to venture down that. But another one, it does involve Sheila in that there's a family that's, kind of in the story with them. The Meek family, and that Sheila, just like not long before this happened, she had become pregnant with a member of the Meek family, and her mother forced her to give the baby up for adoption. And both Sheila and the Meeks were unhappy about this because they wanted to keep the baby. And that is a potential reason for the murder. I could buy that, because people do stupid shit, kill people for the dumbest reasons. So I could buy it if you were just killing Sue. But they killed John and Dana and Tina.
But what does her having to give up the baby have to do with anybody else?
What do you mean? Anybody else who?
Why did you kill all these people?
Exactly.
You were forced to give up a baby.
Like, I can see you being angry at Sue for this because Sheila wanted to keep the baby. And this is all allegedly. Allegedly, Sheila and the Meeks wanted to keep the baby. Like, the family of the boy who got her pregnant. But Sue made her give the baby up for adoption. So Sheila and the Meek family were, if this were the case, rightfully unhappy with that. Mm-hmm. And that would have been motive for them to kill Sue. Which I can follow that, line of thinking. It's, stupid, but I can follow it. And I can understand why, that kind of, in a messed up way, makes sense. But like I said, then John and Dana and Tina. Unless it was just John and Dana came home and they saw us. Oh, Tina came out of her room and she saw us. Like that, you're now on massacre territory.
Right.
And, I don't, that's why I called it, a mediocre theory. Mm-hmm. I'm not putting any eggs in this one.
I got nothing.
I'm sticking with the Martin and Bo. Mm-hmm. Basket.
Yeah, but someone was alive that was Tina. But did they say what they found that linked to a person that was alive?
They just said, there was DNA evidence recovered from a piece of tape and that it matched a living suspect.
But they didn't say who that suspect was.
No. Because when this was, going on, they're still actively investigating it. Honestly, for the first time, but whatever.
Right.
But
30 years later.
Right. So they didn't want to put that information out and let it be known.
Right, but that was 2016. It's 2023 now.
I
didn't hear anything updated.
I haven't seen anything more recent than that was 2018. So I haven't seen anything more recent than that. So
who knows?
Yeah. If anyone knows, feel free to let us know.
Right.
But that's the last I've heard, is that. And I feel like the living suspects are members of the Meek family and maybe even Sheila. But first of all, if you find Sheila's DNA there, well, yeah, she lives there.
Right.
So that can just be thrown right out because, her DNA is going to be all over the place. If it's a member of the Meek family, I don't know. There isn't enough supporting that theory to push me even kind of in that direction.
No.
I'm still pretty firmly in the Martin Smart and Bobo Bidet camp.
I'm with you.
It's also, let's take our little pins out of our brain corkboards and revisit the fact that Bo and Martin went to this bar dressed in a way that was memorable because they wanted people to remember they were there, wearing these fucking suits for some reason and sunglasses, which Justin Smart, who was spending the night, recalled them wearing glasses. That the men were wearing glasses.
And then they left the bar and came back. Maybe that was them trying to do an alibi by calling or being at the bar and then calling back at the bar and then
coming back. Yeah. But again, knowing what we know about the alarm clock, having the cord cut at 3:45, that does not give them an alibi past 2 o'clock when they're at the bar.
Because they left before 3. Before 2.
Before 2, yeah. Yeah, that alibi it goes out the window, but they weren't smart enough to think about that, if that is what happened. But, and also, we haven't mentioned it yet, but the 3 boys that they let live, well, one of those boys was Justin Smart. It's his kid in the room. So he's not going to want to kill his own kid. And if he goes in to kill the other 2, even though they didn't see anything, so why would you go and why would you go and kill them? And even if he did, your kid's going to see you doing all this. So that's kind of a loose end, if you will.
Right.
So and then that can explain why they peeked in to make sure everything was tippy tops in there. And there was blood smeared on the wall or on the door frame or whatever it was in the boys' bedroom, because there would have been 0 reason for it.
Right. Because his son's there and he's not going to want to be seen to be doing all this.
And he's not going to want to kill his own son.
Right. And that's why he's hoping that he stays in there.
That's why that's the biggest thought process on why the boys were left safely alive in the bedroom.
Lucky for them.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is the grating, ridiculously jacked up story of the Keddie cabin murder.
It is very jacked up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it, portrays the injustice of our legal system and how some things are just looked over because other things are considered more important.
That, and also how people who are just don't actually care about justice are put in the positions where they need to care the most.
Right.
And their, their buddies over here are more important than 4 people's lives.
Right. Who cares about them?
Apparently not Sheriff Thomas.
Apparently not.
So yeah, that's that. So I'm sticking with the Martin and Bo brigade. We'll call it. You as well?
I am.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. I would be very interested to know other people's thoughts. There are little tidbits that I didn't add, like I didn't really go into the whole thing with the Meek family, because I don't put much stock in it, I guess. I mean, I mentioned it just because
it's a theory,
right? There's a theory that Sue was actually one of the people Martin was having an affair with, and that Marilyn found out, and she told him that in order for them to stay together, he would have to take care of the issue, aka kill Sue. That's something that's been floated about. There's just all kinds of theories. So I would be interested to know what other people think. We are obviously in the Martin and Bo brigade, but let us know. Do you think it was the Meeks? Do you think it was Sheila? Do you think it was some other random person? Do you know something we don't? Let us know.
Was it some of the drug people?
Yeah, I mean,
drug sellers, drug dealers, drug sellers, drug dealers, hang around shady people, who knows? It could be just some random person that just didn't show up on the radar.
There have been so many stories of people who have been murdered because people thought they had drugs in their house and they definitely didn't. So, I mean, shit happens. But anyways, let us know. Email us, macabrestorytime@gmail.com. Now, it is time for the decompression chamber. Now, this one is going to be pretty quick because this is kind of a long episode as they are starting to become.
We get on tangents.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll edit some of it out. But my super quick decompression chamber story is something I saw, again, while I was looking at the news website while I was at work.
Well, you're looking at the news website and came up with something good. I'm very happy about that.
I did. Yeah, because it's usually just a bunch of car accidents and shootings and fires and corrupt people and yeah. So the story or the title that caused me to click on it, and the moment I say this, you're going to just light up like a million stars. And obviously, as I'm reading this, so this episode will come out right before this ends. So it's possible for people to still participate. I think it's, yeah, okay. So they'll still have 2 days, the day this comes out and the next day to participate in this after this comes out. But you can participate in it starting tomorrow if you were so inclined. This is the headline. This weekend, immerse yourself in a Wizard of Oz themed pop-up bar. Exactly.
Yay!
Her smile is beaming so much that I'm having to squint. So, this is what it says. And for people who don't know, because I mean, probably none of you know this, Rhonda's favorite thing in the entire world is me. And then her second favorite thing is the Wizard of Oz. So
maybe third. And I like my child too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll put that. Okay. So first is me. Second is Claude. Third is the Wizard of Oz. Fourth is the Mummy. Fifth is Emperor's New Groove.
And Dogma.
Anyways,
I have quite the variety of my favorite movies.
It's a weird
it is a weird variety.
Amalgamation of movies. I will not lie. But anyways, so she's, just Wizard of Oz shit all over the place. She's obsessed. So.
No.
Yes. Here is what it says. Halloween is over. We all fall back an hour this weekend, and the weather turned cold quite suddenly.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. All of this warrants a fun day out and about to lift our collective spirits as we push toward the holiday season. From immersive cocktail experiences to live music, St. Louis has plenty going on this weekend. And the first one is called Emerald City, an immersive cocktail experience. Come take a trip with us through the magical land of Oz starting November 3rd in St. Louis. During this 90-minute adventure, you will stumble upon the secret ingredient for your 2 premium Enchanted Oz cocktails. Solve riddles, play games, and interact with your favorite wonderful Wizard of Oz characters.
Ooh.
Yes. So I will say that tickets are $40. VIP tickets are $200 for 4 people. So I guess $50.
$50 a piece.
Experience runs November 3rd, which is tomorrow, through November 17th, which is the day after this episode comes out. And the time of the event every day is 6 to 8:30 p.m.
Cool.
And as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, Rhonda needs to know about this. So I just wanted you to know that there is an immersive cocktail experience for you Wizard of Ozzies out there.
Fancy.
Yeah. And, I mean, the other stuff, it's like only this weekend, so it's not really, I guess, worth mentioning. But
since it'll be over by this time.
Right,
this
exactly.
airs.
Like, we could do it if we want. But so, yeah. That's it. Wizard of Oz cocktail thing.
Might have to look into that. I doubt I get to go, but,
Why not?
Who's going to go with me?
I mean, you have a boyfriend.
I know. He's a pain in the butt.
Oh, tell me about it. Same.
Those boys are trouble.
I know, right? You think kids can go, just not drink?
I don't know. I have to look at it.
I mean, it doesn't say anything about being like only 21 and up.
I mean, it's a cocktail experience, so I would assume.
Well, she doesn't have to drink it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I could go with you if you asked me. Maybe me and you and Natalie, you guys can get to know each other better since she's going to come and be a guest.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep that under wraps.
I don't know where that came from.
Okay. Anyways. So yeah, fun times. If you're hearing this and you're in the St. Louis area, you have until tomorrow, November the 17th, to go get you some Wizard of Oz cocktails.
Hopefully there's tickets left.
True. It just sounds like fun because I saw the solve riddles and play games, and I'm like, immediately I was like an escape room kind of thing.
I mean,
it's a 90-minute adventure. So
I have the Wizard of Oz board game, and no one will ever play with me.
Because you just fucking know everything.
I do not know everything.
Okay. Anyway. So that's my tidbit for today.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. All right. I guess that's anything else you got to say?
I got nothing else.
All right. I got nothing else either.
All right.
Other than this. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Macabre Storytime. To stay in the know on all things macabre, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at macabrestorytime.com. Or you can email us at macabrestorytime@gmail.com.
If you are interested in supporting the show, head on over to our Patreon page. And that is at patreon.com/macabrestorytime. Patrons get exclusive access to early releases of our weekly episodes, bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and stickers. And with subscriptions starting as low as $1 a month, it's practically free to support the show.
Yeah.
Come on and support us.
I mean, would you be honest with yourself and with me? Would you notice $1 missing from your account every month?
No.
No, I wouldn't.
That's just soda at the gas station when I go.
I don't even do that.
Well, obviously. But, running to get, a coffee or something.
I'm a Patreon for Dark Histories. I'm a $5 Patreon. I don't notice that $5 missing. And I'm low-key obsessed with that man.
No.
Yeah, he's delightful.
I know. You've told me.
Yeah, he's a delight. I have a baby crush on him.
Baby.
But anyways, that's for another time.
As he's listening to this episode, wait, what?
Oh my God, is he listening?
By the way.
That'd be amazing. Hi, Ben. Anyways, you can come be a guest. That'd be great.
You could be a guest.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Just email us at macabrestorytime@gmail.com.
Maybe you should email him and be like, hey, want to be a guest?
You could be a guest
He'll
star
probably never
on our-
respond. He's never responded to my email that I sent.
Oh.
My email was delightful.
It
I'm
was.
just going to say.
I read it.
It was fun
It was amusing.
and amusing. And I was trying to ask Natalie, and I say trying because she interrupted me. I was trying to say, does this show my personality, like who I am? And I got as far as saying, does this? And she says, yes, it does. Like, oh, okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's how delightful it was, because I'm clearly a delight.
Mm-hmm. I'm a freaking delight. I saw that on a shirt the other day, and I'm like, yep.
Yeah. I'll take it in an extra large. Anyways, if you can't sign up to be a Patreon, that's okay. You can help support the show by rating, reviewing, and sharing it. Doing this does so much to help boost the show, and of course, we super duper appreciate it.
We do.
And once again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time.
Don't go to the sheriff for marital advice.
Oh yeah, definitely don't do that. I guarantee there's like a 75-80% chance that sheriff has been divorced at least once.
Right. Probably more.
Yeah,
Cops
don't have a good
spouses
time
very long.
with marriage.
Yeah.
Don't cover up crimes. I don't know. Just don't do any of this. Like literally any of it.
Don't be like these people.
Yeah, just I mean,
be like the one girl. Like, leave your abusive husband. That was good.
Yeah. Do that.
But don't get involved in all this.
Yeah, just all of this is just don't. There's no point. Just be a decent person.